Joining me today is Dr. Weil, known as a sports podiatrist, a respected sports podiatrist, and radio host of the Sports Doctor. He's back on the show for the Sports Doctor is In segment, and he's going to be talking about activities, back to school sports activities, and how to choose your chosen sport. Welcome back, Dr. Bob.
Hey, Christine, I know we've had our ups and downs with the technology. It reminds me of live radio, where sometimes I have a guest is in the wrong time zone. But here we are. Glad to be back with you. And yeah, it's a key topic that we want to include, which is uh, sports parents paying attention to what's important when their son or daughter is going back to school and joining the team and getting involved in sports, and some important points that we want to share with your audience. And number one is to pay attention to whatever your son or daughter's history physically has been, even to what their experience has been. Sometimes their experience has been terrific with their coach and their teammates, etc. Other times it might have been a challenge with all sorts of problems in one regard or another. So as a sports parent, you want to be a good listener. You want to be able to have your son or daughter share with you what their experience has been mentally with their teammates, etc., with their coach. And you also want to pay attention to the physical side. You know, Mary, are you still dealing with that knee problem you had last year? Or, how's those shin splints been since we were talking about your last cross-country running? And we want to be able to, at that time, pay attention if there are concerns, because one of our big challenges, Christine, is overuse and overkill, where these kids go back to the sport. They've been off all summer. All of a sudden, they're getting very aggressive, maybe practicing every day, overdoing it, pushing too hard. I call it the terrible twos, maybe doing too much, too soon, being too aggressive. So we want to let parents know that they're part of the leadership of the team, and we want them to be able to be a good listener with their son or daughter. And to quote my late, great sports psychologist, Dr. Jim Vickery, Christine, who shared probably 4 years worth of radio time with me in the early 90s. He was a sports psychologist, but he didn't use the word psychology in the 80s and 90s because it scared people away. Like, what do you mean psychology? What's wrong with me? But he had a couple of big points, and we just mentioned one, parents be good listeners, but he also mentioned another to sports parents: don't be a critic. Don't be evaluating your son or daughter's performance in the car on the way home or that kind of a situation. And we want to tune sports parents into that understanding. The other topic I know you wanted to touch on: people have been goofing around in the summer. Maybe they've let their exercise program go. Maybe they're looking to get started with the new school year on their own. And we just want them to be smart. We want people to include an activity that they enjoy, whether you enjoy walking, whether you're a runner, whether you like going to the gym, whether you're yoga is what you really enjoy. We want people to be realistic, pay attention to your history of problems, and look at those in a serious way before you get back into activity, whether it's to see a podiatrist, make sure that you're dealing with being in the right shoe for your particular foot mechanics, or what your history has been with your plantar fasciitis or whatever it's been. But take responsibility, whether it's you as the runner and the athlete yourself, or you're the mom or dad of your young high school, junior high school student, and you got sports up to the top of your ears already, and we want you to be involved in a positive way.
Mm-hmm. I really like what you just said about don't critique your son or daughters in the car. Like it's sort of like leave it out onto the pitch or leave it out onto the field or whatever. So there's a time and place to do that. So thinking of that, could you do that like later in the day when it's sort of settled, like after dinner?
Well, I think, again, the idea of not being a critic, if you want to discuss the various aspects of the performance. In other words, getting feedback from your son or daughter. How do they feel about how they did? And how do they feel about their discipline or how they're doing in practice, etc.? And then you could add your 2 cents. But Dr. Vickery made a big deal out of not being a critic. You could be understanding, you would be a good listener, you could give advice. You might have some criticism in some way, shape, or form, their attitude or their effort, and whatever they happen to be doing. But I think a big point is don't turn it into a negative experience. We're all very familiar, aren't we? Close your eyes, you can picture them. The overzealous parent on the sidelines, the overbearing coach, whether it's in the history of gymnastics or some of these other sports where we've seen horror shows with what went on, with what some of these kids went through in one regard or another. So, and again, youth sports is a big business, a lot of pressure physically and mentally. And you know what? The more talented your son or daughter, the more the pressure many times is there. Now that they're paying athletes coming out of high school, that adds a whole new layer, Christine. We've had some interesting experts on the Sports Doctor talking about that whole side of things regarding whether your son or daughter is going to get an opportunity to have sponsors before they even get enrolled in college.
Yes. Yes, yes. And I want to talk about your book, Hey, sports parents, or let's
I
talk about your
have it
book.
here to show you.
Yes, yes.
We're going on our 5th anniversary. It's as important today as it ever was. Hashtag Hey Sports Parents. And I co-author it with the Hall of Fame volleyball coach and an athlete, national team member, Sharky Zartman. She's a great radio host herself on Healthy Life Radio. And she deals with the first part of the book, which is Sports Parenting 101. All aspects of this, what's important for you as a sports parent. Part 2 of the book is The Sports Doctor's In. It's my area. I'm talking about everything from the right shoe to orthotics to overuse injuries to prevention of injuries. The third part, we've had 8 or 9 experts in various areas: sports psychology, parenting, mental, physical training, nutrition, chiming into what counts, what's important to you as a sports parent. And the last part is the sports perspective, parents' perspectives, where I have a half a dozen sports parents give their feedback on what it's like to be dealing with a serious son or daughter and these kinds of challenges. And most of the experts in part 3 and the sports parents either have been parents of athletes of mine or they've been radio guests. So it's an important book regarding what counts if you're going to be a sports parent, and we want a positive experience, because you know what? Goes by very fast, Christine. Yeah. And I tell sports parents, please enjoy the moment and the moments, because all of a sudden, when there's no more games to go to, you're going to miss it, my friends.
Yes, such a wonderful topic. And if listeners want to, check your show out, where can they go, Dr. Bob?
My website is now brand new. It's back up.
Yes,
The sportsdoctorradio.com is the new website for people to check out. They can find out about all sorts of instances involving some radio shows. If they go to bbsradio.com/the sports doctor, they can listen to whatever they like in the past. They can catch the half a dozen shows that you've been on when you've been a guest on the Sports Doctor, and they could listen to whatever they would like. And of course, I don't know if this is the 4th or 5th year that the Sports Doctor is run with it, but we got to keep it going, right, Christine?
Yes, yes. And Dr. Bob, thank you so much for being a guest today. And I'm looking forward to having you next month, and without technology problems or technical difficulties.
Right. Yeah, good luck to us with the social media. All right, we'll see you next time, Christine. Thank you.
Thank you.